Okay, this is going to be an update to a story I did 2 or 3 weeks ago, which is working conditions in China, Apple, and Foxconn, and I actually been following it for quite a long time. Now, there is an update to it, being one of my sources that I used was from actually a radio news show called This American Life. And on that particular show, they had a guy called Mike Daisey, which is an author, actor. He has a stage show that they featured, an hour-long stage show called The Agony and Ecstasy of Steve Jobs. And it kind of went into the working conditions in China. Now, to go a little bit more into it, he actually went to China outside Foxconn factory. He didn't actually go inside, with an interpreter, a Chinese interpreter named Kathy Lee, and he interviewed the workers there. And there was quite a few claims that Mike Daisey made. He claims to have met workers as young as 12 years old that were poisoned by N-hexane, met guards with guns, and a man with a hand mangled by a press, and who he shows his iPad to. And supposedly all this happened in Foxconn, which in the end all turned out to be false. And this was brought to bear when actually a Chinese correspondent, a journalist named Rob Schmitz, who works for the Marketplace News. And he heard some of the Mike Daisey's claims, and that kind of went against what he knew, because I think he lives in China doing news stories, and he kind of already knew a lot of the stuff, the Chinese workers and Foxconn and so on. It didn't quite seem right to him. So what he did was he actually tracked down the Chinese interpreter, Kathy Lee, to verify some of Mike's stories. And so once Rob actually met Kathy, Kathy did confirm some of what actually did happen, but she never remembered speaking to any underage workers. She specifically would remember that because she would have been surprised if she met any people that young. Now, she said a lot of them did look young, but the average age of the workers over there are 18 to 23. And obviously some of the females would be, are very short and kind of look younger. She never also mentioned talking to any people that were poisoned by hexane. And she also mentioned, of course, Mike mentioned that they were met at the gate by guards with guns. And it's kind of funny because she also mentioned that the only people allowed to have guns are the military and the police. And under Chinese law, nobody else are allowed to carry firearms. And there's actually other discrepancies as well. Supposedly Mike claimed that there were some Chinese workers that were practicing their English and actually talked to them directly. So supposedly Kathy didn't see some of the stuff that they talked to him about. But of course, Kathy said she had to do all the translations for everything. Even the number of workers and the amount of factories Mike claimed to have interviewed was way off as well. He claimed it was 100 to 200 workers, and it was more like 50 workers that they interviewed. And of course, when Mike Daisey was asked about these discrepancies, finally he said he never meant to present his hour monologue stage show as journalism, but as theater. And this is my thoughts. Let me go down here. Now, I could see if you're kind of have a stage show where it's half theater, half, actual happenings, you want to mix the two together, that's one thing. But anytime you're not doing your stage show, and because actually Mike Daisey, he went beyond his stage show. He actually been on quite a few news programs and talk shows. And let me go through here. For the past year, he's been in the news constantly, newspaper articles, magazine profiles, online news sites. He also numerous television appearances, CNN, C-SPAN, Bill Maher, and MSNBC. And there's probably even some more thrown in there. So, you know, he's still claiming it's theatrical art, and, you know, it should be expected of him to do this. But you see, I watched everything. I watched his hour-long monologue show, a lot of his TV interviews. And but see, he went to all these talk shows, news programs, presenting what he said in his monologue as the truth. And he even went in there and said during, I think it was TechCrunch and MSNBC, that you know, meeting these actually underage workers. But I also want to state as well that some of these things that Mike said, you know, he talked to, it actually did happen, but it didn't happen to him. Like the hexane poisoning, or N-hexane poisoning. N-hexane is a chemical that they use to clean the iPad screens because it dries a lot quicker than you know, alcohol or a lot of the other cleaners. But that actually happened 1,000 miles away from where they were actually located in Sichuan, I think. That's where the Foxconn factory was located. So that was true. There was some underage workers. I don't think they, when he was there was any, though. And yeah. So he actually really did this to, he kind of added all those things in there, let's say falsehoods, to make his show more dramatic, to gain more notoriety and profit. Plus, it really makes Apple and Foxconn and Chinese workers look bad, because even though some of that stuff happened, it makes it look a lot more widespread than it actually is. So, you know, you kind of think the truth in journalism, it's getting rarer and rarer these days. Now, luckily enough, I didn't directly quote Mike Daisey for what I quoted one comment, and I think it was really actually This American Life. They actually had a group of 3 people at the end of Mike Daisey's monologue, and I think I quoted the one where Chinese workers can actually help improve their working conditions by, you know, if they're not happy with that factory's working conditions, they can actually go to another one. And that would help improve pay, working conditions, dormitories, and so forth. Because actually, a lot of these factories have a high turnover rate every month. People hiring, quitting, and then they have to rehire new workers, as much as 20%. So that's actually the part that I quoted. But you know, it was so bad with Mike Daisey, what he did. You know, I thought it'd be newsworthy. So that's today's topic.